to really evolve our body and to really get into a state of total health consciousness, there may have to be a change not only physically, mentally, emotionally, but really spiritually. And how we believe the universe is constructed, our connection with God, our connection with our parents, our connection with our children, our connection with other people is all going to have to come under a microscope in our day and age. And this is where we discover that we always have a choice. When there's no way, there's always a way. When it's stage 4 cancer and everybody says lights out, guess what? At any moment we can go, lights are on. Being in the healing field for 15 years, I've seen miraculous healing. I've seen impossible healings in front of my eyes.
I personally had gone through a situation when it came to cancer about 10 years ago. When I was first diagnosed, I just somewhat went into denial, thinking, no, this can't be happening to me. And so when I went to the Western doctors, they wanted me to have a hysterectomy. And immediately I knew in my own belief system that I did not want to have surgery. It was difficult because I had no support from anyone, not my family, no friends. They wanted me to have surgery. And I was training for a marathon at the time, so in my body I felt the strongest that I could ever be, and I knew that I could beat this cancer. There was just something inside of me that I was being given the tools. I had never meditated before. I had been given visuals for myself of how to bring in white healing light into my body and to breathe out any darkness. And knowing that I personally had that power, that I didn't want to give it away. I didn't want to give it to the doctors. I didn't want to put my attention on what the doctors were going to do for me. I wanted to know what I could do for me. It was a powerful time for me. It was an enlightening time to know that by really focusing on what it was that I needed to do. And then there was the emotional piece, of course, that I needed to recognize why that cancer was there.
Begin to see that the spirit is connected to the mind, is connected to the physical body. But more interesting, the physical body, if it's out of balance, affects the spiritual state. Again, obviously, as a leading physician in the live foods movement, we want to honor the live foods, but we don't want to say that's the whole thing. Yes, you are what you eat, and what you eat is a result of your state of consciousness that affects what you eat. So it's like very circular. And what we eat not only affects our own health, but the health of the whole planet. So they're all connected. So in a holistic paradigm, we can't disconnect them. It's got to be the whole thing to get the optimal effect.
There's a real combination in my field, kind of a synergy between the psychotherapy that really helps deal with a lot of the stresses we carry from our past and into the present and often into the future, and the well-being of us as physical beings. So I referred quite a few people to Ron over the years that really need a balance on a physical level, and he's referred a number of people to me over the years that really need help with relationships or dealing with their emotions. So I think it's an integrated approach that we're all looking for, and Ron is a great integrator of lots of information that allows people to have optimal health.
Eating is an art, moving is an art, resting is an art. Now, to control those physical behaviors so that we can control these internal behaviors that are going on in our body, how do you control those? You control by working with the invisible inner self, the thoughts, the beliefs, the emotions. That's what influences that. So again, the way people use their mind is our greatest ally, our greatest healing instrument. And very few people have been trained in how to use it skillfully. So that's an area that I work with. Another area, the fourth area that I work with, is the quality of people's relationships. Relationships, again, can be something that is nourishing, strengthening to us, or they can be something that is sickening to us. And learning to relate, learning to listen to another person sensitively, to speak your truth honestly and kindly so that there's that flow in relationship are, again, fine skills. And it's also having the, as I say, the love, the desire, the passion to heal and to make that healing real in our lives. The second part is that we have to learn how to do that.
I've been sick on and off basically since I was 10. And officially now my diagnosis is chronic fatigue syndrome and/or fibromyalgia. When I was 13, I also contracted Lyme disease, so I've kind of dealt with that as well. And when I was 13, I had my first migraine as well, and it lasted 3 months. And then when I was 16, I started getting the major depression that is often associated with fibromyalgia and started getting some of the intense body pain. And then it just kept getting worse and worse until somewhere in high school is probably when I burned out my adrenals, and then the fatigue came on as well. I was still seeing my MD fairly regularly and explaining just the fact that I was gaining new diseases all the time, and she kind of just put it to me that, you know, Western medicine doesn't really know what to do with fibromyalgia. And she said that, you know, we failed people with fibromyalgia, and she actually gave me her blessing to go out into the alternative community of Boulder. I did a 40-day detox, and it was crazy difficult. The first week, nasty headaches, I was shaky all the time. It was so horrible, and yet I was very aware that this is something that I had to do. This was the toxins coming out, and you know, detoxing is you're taking the accumulation of years of toxins and trying to get them out within the course of a couple of weeks, and so it's painful. My diet was not horrible. It wasn't great, but it wasn't horrible. It was just standard stuff that modern medicine tells you to do, and I was working out twice a week and nothing was making a difference. And so now my diet is always shocking to people because of what it is. It's no high fructose corn syrup, which is amazingly difficult. I mean, if you look at a loaf of bread in the grocery store, there's high fructose corn syrup in that. Very little sugar, definitely not refined sugar. No wheat. And then just recently I got off of gluten altogether, which with the adrenal disease, that's always a key, is getting off of gluten. No pork. Let's see, my meats are fairly organic or wild still. Very little grains, mainly rice and quinoa and some things like that, and vegetables and fruit. And people always say to me, well, what can you eat? Like, I list the things of don't eats, and like, well, what I can eat is normal stuff. It's real food as opposed to other things that people eat.